A disagreement starts, voices rise, tension thickens, and instead of fighting back, you go quiet. You feel your body tense, your mind go blank, and the urge to explain or defend yourself just vanishes. Maybe you leave the room, stop replying, or quietly withdraw from the relationship altogether. Friends or partners might call, text, or try to talk it out, but you're already gone physically or emotionally. You might even find yourself ghosting someone you care about, not because you don't feel, but because you feel too much. Later, you replay the moment, wondering, why do I always shut down and disappear? Why can't I just stand my ground like everyone else? Am I broken or just weak? If your instinct is to ghost instead of fight, what psychology says about your wiring is something most people never hear. And it might completely change how you see this avoidant side of yourself. You've probably heard it all before. You're so immature. You're afraid of conflict. You never talk things out, maybe. People accuse you of being avoidant, cold, or unable to handle adult problems. You start to feel ashamed. Like you're weak, childish, or bad at relationships. Sometimes you even try to force yourself to stay and argue, only to freeze up or feel sick. Other people seem to thrive on confrontation or clear the air. You feel like your only option is to disappear. You might watch friends hash things out, get loud, and then move on while you're still stuck in the urge to vanish. Most people like you stop here and decide they're just broken or cowardly, but that's only because nobody ever explained what your nervous system is actually doing when you ghost instead of fight. Here's the reframe. Psychology suggests that ghosting during conflict is often a sign of a conflict-sensitive, peace-seeking nervous system. When arguments start, your body may go into freeze or fawn mode, shutting down, going blank, or appeasing to avoid escalation. If you've experienced past conflict that felt dangerous, pointless, or never led to real resolution, your system learned silence is safer than fighting. You're not afraid of conflict for no reason. You're protecting your energy, your safety, and your peace. Your instinct to ghost is your nervous system's way of saying, this isn't safe, and I need out. In the next part, we'll unpack why your system chooses silence or exit, how past wounds shape this pattern, and how you can learn to use your voice without betraying your need for safety. Let's break down what's really happening when you ghost instead of fight. First, there's the freeze, fawn response. When conflict starts, your nervous system may go into freeze, shutting down, going blank, or feeling paralyzed or fawn, where you appease, agree, or smooth things over just to end the tension. This isn't a conscious choice. It's your body's way of avoiding danger, not just being difficult. You might feel unable to speak, desperate to escape, or like your mind has left the room, even if the argument isn't physically threatening. Second, there are past conflict wounds. If you grew up around explosive fights, silent treatment, or situations where speaking up made things worse, your system learned fighting is unsafe or pointless. Ghosting becomes a way to avoid repeating old pain, even if it means missing out on resolution or connection. Your mind may also recognize patterns when someone never listens, always escalates, or uses your words against you. Silence feels like the only safe exit. Third, there's energy protection and pattern recognition. Arguments can be draining, especially for sensitive or introverted people. If you've learned that fighting rarely leads to real change, your system conserves energy by withdrawing instead of engaging. Ghosting is your nervous system's way of saying, my peace is more important than this battle. Most people just see you as avoidant. They never see the freeze. Fawn response. The old conflict wounds and the energy math your mind is doing every time you disappear. The next step is learning when ghosting is wise self-protection and when it's quietly blocking your growth or connection. Here's where your ghosting instinct can be both wise and limiting.
Sometimes.
Disappearing is a wise exit, protects you from toxic cycles, endless drama, or situations where your voice is never heard. That's real self-respect. But it can also become a missed opportunity for growth. You never practice setting boundaries, never learn to repair or miss out on deeper connection because you always leave before things get real. On the outside, it looks like choosing peace. On the inside, it can quietly become a habit of running from discomfort. My gentle self-check. Right now, am I leaving to protect myself or to avoid the discomfort of being honest, vulnerable, or disappointed? When you see it clearly, your story stops being, "I'm just immature or broken," and starts sounding more like the truth. You have a conflict-sensitive, peace-seeking nervous system that learned to protect itself by withdrawing. That's a strength, not a flaw. The work now is to learn to use your voice safely. Practice setting boundaries in low-stakes situations. Try leaving with words, "I need space right now," instead of silence, and remind yourself that you can choose peace and still be heard. Try tiny experiments. Next time conflict arises, pause and ask, "Is there a way to express myself safely?" Even if it's just a sentence. Over time, you'll teach your system that you can survive discomfort and still protect your peace. If this felt like someone finally explained your ghosting brain, you're not alone, and you're not too much for needing safety. Subscribe and stay close if you want more videos that decode traits like this without shaming you. And tell me in the comments what situations make you want to disappear, because next, we're going even deeper into how sensitive, peace-seeking minds like yours can find their voice, even when conflict feels overwhelming.